So we went ahead and finished up our pour yesterday. We got done at about 1 o'clock, which was good because it got up to about 119 degrees. I think it was exactly 119 up on this hill. So we got out of here about 1 o'clock after we stripped all of our forms and everything. And because of the temperature, we spray a curing compound over the concrete whenever we pour sidewalks or foundations or any kind of concrete work, especially in the summertime. We spray a curing compound over the concrete, and what that does is it keeps the moisture in the concrete. So it slowly dissolves over a couple of weeks, and it doesn't allow the sun or transevaporation to happen, allow the sun to evaporate the water out of the concrete. You probably saw in our previous videos, we soak the ground down with water before we pour. We just soak the dirt, because when this concrete goes down, it acts like a sponge. It's gonna pour or pull all that moisture out of the soil. And so it brings the moisture up into the concrete, and then obviously the sun hits it and it evaporates out the top. And it causes rapid curing of the concrete if it's a really hot day. So we spray a curing compound over the whole entire surface. Back in the 80s, what we would do is we would put plastic over the concrete, and it was kind of like a greenhouse. And it wouldn't let the moisture, it'd cause condensation in the plastic and keep moisture on the slab until the slab cured. Well, that's years ago. Technology now and new products that they have make it a lot nicer. So we spray it over here, and then it keeps the moisture in the foundation, allows this concrete to cure slowly. If we don't do that, then you're going to end up with a lot of cracks. And we take preventative measures to stop and prevent cracking. You're never going to stop concrete from cracking. There's always going to be cracks. But we do take preventative measures. You saw all the steel that we put in the slab. So we put all that steel in there. It has structural values, and then it also holds this concrete together and helps to prevent the cracking that's going to occur. The other thing that prevents cracking is we put expansion joints in the concrete. So on this one here, there's 3 big garages in this house. Any of our expansion joints that we put in with a joining tool, we put those in where there's going to be walls framed. So we don't want big joints out in the middle of the foundation. So what we did is we used a joining tool, and we put these joints in right here, and there's going to be a wall framed over the top of that. These joints right here, we saw cut this morning. This is the joint that's going to be in the middle of the concrete garage floor. So any of those joints, we saw cut those. We saw cut joints all the way down. And any of these joints that we used a joining tool on, there will be a framed wall right here on top of that, so you'll never see that big joint. That way, if the owner ever wants to put epoxy flooring down or any of that, he doesn't have a really big joint in the middle of his garage floor. So that's the process. We sprayed a curing compound over this. It allows the water to evaporate slowly over a couple of week period, helps prevent cracking, and then we use a saw to saw cut our joints. We can cut our joints a little deeper, and the reason we can use the saw and cut them deeper is we can get deeper than we can get with a joining tool. So when this concrete does crack, it's going to take the path of least resistance, and the crack is going to go into those joints instead of out in the middle of the slab foundation. So that's the process. And now what we got going on here is we are putting in our septic system and our leach field. So Gary's here now. He's digging for the septic tank right here. So the septic tank is now going in. So you're gonna have about 4 feet of soil over the top of that tank. We have the leach line tied in already up to the house plumbing up here. So right here is where we exited the house, and we tied in the leach line that's going to go to the tank. That goes down to where he's digging now, and he'll tie that into the tank when he's finished. Right down here below, we have our infiltrators. Those aren't completely round. Those are like a half round, 3-foot diameter. Those are infiltrators. They're level, and there's 4 of them. The line will come out of the septic box. The tight line or the waste line will come out of the septic tank, travel down to a distribution box. So you got 1 line coming into the distribution box, and then you have 3 lines going out of the distribution box, or 4 of them actually, to those infiltrators. Those infiltrators are 70 feet long. They're completely level all the way across. We'll walk down and take a look. Those have to be level. They can't run downhill. I'll show you the distribution box down here. Right here. So here's the distribution box. He's going to have a line right here that goes from here up to the tank where Gary's digging now. The line will come down to this distribution box, and then you can see where the 4 pipes come out of the distribution box and go into each of these infiltrators. You can see them right here. Each line goes into the top of the infiltrator. There's a cap on the end of that infiltrator, and the line goes right into the top of it. So any water that comes out of the tank, the wastewater, comes down these lines, goes out into those infiltrators, and then leaches out into the ground. And that's the process for the septic system.
Make the pipes just rotate the hole.
What he's doing right here, he's making sure this distribution box is level, and then he's dumping water in there to make sure that the water goes into each pipe equally. So that way there's equal distribution of wastewater into these infiltrators. Hey, welcome back. We're back out here on the 4,000 square foot custom going in wine country. As you can see, my materials finally showed up. My framers are here now, laying this thing out, putting the plates down, the bottom plate and the top plate, getting this thing ready for framing. I wasn't here for the last 2.5 weeks. I was away on military orders, so I wasn't able to film the tank going in, but as you can see, we have the tank in right over here. You saw in the previous videos, we had the hole dug for it. I just wasn't here to film it going in the ground, but it's no big deal. We just put the tank down in the hole, connected the waste line to it, which is over here. Waste line comes out of the house, came down here, connects into the tank. That's our riser lids. Right down there is our infiltrators, down there in the leach field. Our distribution box is right over here. We graded it out real nice and clean, so it looks good for the neighbors. And now we're gonna continue on with framing. So it took us about 5 weeks to get this framing material, where normally it only takes us about a week. So because of coronavirus, we're being held up on a lot of jobs right now, but we're gonna continue forward with the framing and get these walls up. It's still really hot out, so nevertheless, you know, with the way this year's been going, it could start storms anytime. So we want to get these walls up and get this house dried in before rainy season, as if we ever have one out here in California, before rainy season comes. So plan for now, get all the plates on, get everything installed, continue on with framing, and get these walls up. Hit the subscribe button, and thanks for watching.